Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tell It Like It Is. I'm your host, Morris, man, and my co host.
Joseph Spencer.
And we've been gone for a while, and we apologize. We've been working on other projects, but we try to get back to the show. And today we were clear to do more or less a fun topic because the majority of the topics that we do are really serious and it causes a lot of debates. So today we're going to do something that's kind of lighthearted. And today's subject is these little furry felines, these beautiful animals that are called cats. I'm a big animal lover. Somebody once asked me if money was not an issue as far as a living, what would you do? And my answer was to be a veterinarian because I love to take care of animals. What are your thoughts on animals, Joe? Love them, hate them?
I love all animals, but when I was a kid, cats were visitors. They come and visit. They get fed
Yeah,
and they
and
leave.
they disappear.
And they disappear.
Yeah.
There was no such thing called as a house cat.
Yeah.
You know.
Because we couldn't afford to go to, now they have Pet Mark where you can go get a real fresh
Yeah.
new animal. Our animals were flea-ridden
Right.
animals out of the alley that came to visit, and we fed them, and they hung around and leave.
And when George the cat got injured or needed something, he'd come home like a dude. you know. But now you can't feed cats off the table. They can't stay out in 90-degree weather. They can't survive the winter. Well, George, he survived the winter, thunderstorms, lightning storms, 90-degree weather.
Very resilient.
He was very resilient.
So what I'm going to do on this particular episode is I'm going to just post some pictures of animals that I've had over over a period of time. And the first one is, and I got my sheet here, is Marley. And I dubbed Marley Bad Marley because Marley was a handful. I found Marley in the bushes from where I used to live at. Her mom, was the owner lived next door. And he would put Marley's mom out regularly, and Marley's mom was real hot and had like 3 litters. And the last litter Marley was in, and they were in the bushes. So I went in there, I called the local authorities, they came and got the animals, and I said, to the officer, said, I'll take this one. It was Marley. I brought her in the house. Joe immediately put her in the kitchen on the floor. She could have been no more than about maybe 4 weeks old, small animal. And I kid you not, I set her on the floor. I literally ran to the bathroom to find a little tub to contain her. And when I got back, which was less than a minute, probably 30 seconds, Marley had clammed up under the baseboard in the under the sink. It was a little space in that little wood area, and she crawled in there. So I had to actually go get a hammer and pry a piece of that wood out and get out of there.
Yeah.
So I knew from day one she was going to be a handful.
Yeah.
But she was a delightful cat, very energetic. She used to do some strange things. She would come into the other bedroom and jump up on the ironing board and start swinging. And I would tell people this, and they didn't believe me. And one day I set my camcorder up, and I have this footage on YouTube. She just a swinging, jumping up there, little legs and tail going. So they're delightful animals, but they're very
Mischievous.
mischievous because they love to eat. And as I
Eat,
get
sleep,
older,
and have sex.
yeah. And as I've gotten older, I realize, why they do what they do because people say they sleep all day long. That's because they don't sleep.
They nocturnal.
Yeah, and they still have that prehistoric mechanism in them
Yeah.
as far as I might not get a meal today, so I better pounce on the meal that's in front of me, because they sleep like every 5 or 10 minutes and wake up thinking it's meal time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I would sleep throughout the day too if I'm waking up every 10 minutes looking for food.
They high energy. They burn up a lot of calories.
Yeah.
When you can jump 4, 5, 6 times if you can jump 6 times your height, when you hit the ground, when you came back down, you'd have to go eat something.
Yes,
you
you're
know?
right. Yeah, and you're right.
Yeah, I know.
They very dispense a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the second picture I'm putting up there. And it's a picture, this is actually my favorite picture. It's a picture of Marley and her bigger brother from the second litter, because Marley came from the third litter. So the other cats were still around, hanging around when Marley was born. So that's that picture, and it's pretty nice. Here is a story. This is an interesting story. Like I said, I love animals, and it got to the point where, and I'm going to post this picture of these cats in the backyard at my back door. They would come around and I would feed them. And I looked around at one point, I had like 5 cats at the door. That's like, whoa, word getting around if they're getting fed here. It's a soup kitchen. So I did this for like a year before we left that condominium. And we came back, or I came back a year later to get some stuff out of storage because I still had a key. And I kid you not, Joe, I went into the back to get the stuff, and I looked out the back door. There was a cat at the door. And I said, wow, they still been coming here a year later.
Look, what
Still
would you
looking for
do? If you had a back door, you can go to it
And get free food.
and get a lobster and some champagne.
And it wasn't that the other people that lived in the condo was feeding them because they were afraid of cats. So apparently they were still coming around looking for me a year later.
A year later, yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You Papa.
Yeah. So here's another picture. This one is going to be a picture of Mrs. Buttons. First he was called Mr. Buttons till I realized she was a she.
Testicles hadn't dropped yet.
Yeah, exactly. So Mrs. Buttons I found under my car one day, meowing. So, you know, I got a soft spot in my heart. She's a beautiful orange tabby. So I brought her in. And what was unique about Mrs. Buttons was not the warmest, because that's what a lot of people love animal cats, because they're very warm. They like to get up, try to get in your bed and all that nonsense. Mrs. Buttons wasn't having that. The only time Mrs. Buttons was your friend was mealtime.
Mealtime.
Other than that, she don't be bothering
Yeah.
you. And it's like, okay.
She was aloof.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you're not going to last too long here. And I actually placed an ad in Craigslist, and the young guy came back and picked her up. So, you know, that was a happy ending.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I love animals, but Mrs. Buttons was very distant. And I actually featured her in a couple of my short films.
And when I was a kid, my mother didn't want no cats or no kind of animals in the house. So I had feral cats as pets.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know what feral cats were. They were just little and cute. And then, but I realized they were always doing this. You know, they would attack you. They wouldn't be bothering me unless I had a piece of chicken or something my grandmother, you know, and they stayed their distance. I didn't understand that. When I was a child, there was something called cat scratch fever.
Yeah. That was a popular song by Ted Nugent.
Well, it's a true thing. Cats kill with their teeth and their claws, and they would pick up infection from rats and other little critters. And if they scratch you, you got an infection.
They carry a lot of disease. And that's another thing. It's not good to just take animals off the street and bring them into your house because they have fleas.
Yeah.
And just about every cat that I ran into had fleas. And I called a veterinarian and said, where do these things come from? Because fleas are hard to get rid of, you know, and they multiply. So he said, the cats get them from outside. I said, never in my life when I was a kid I did this. Oh, there's an ant. There's spiders. Oh, there's some fleas. I've never seen the flea outside.
But you don't have fur all over your body.
Yeah, but apparently they're plentiful out there that any cat that you put out there for a short period of time, they come back with fleas.
Right. If you had a great big old beard, and I've done some traveling, and I've seen a certain persuasion of people who had big beards where their beards met the hair on their chest, and they would have fleas.
Yeah, fleas are a force to reckon with.
Yeah, they really are.
You really don't want to have fleas in your house. You know?
No.
That's another reason why I was standoffish about having animals as I got older, because I'm like, I love them, but the flea issue. You know, I don't want fleas jumping around in my bed and all on the carpet.
No matter, unless you live 22 stories up on some concrete, the cat never go outside.
Yeah.
That's
and you got him straight from the pet shop and never go outside.
And never go outside.
Guaranteed a flealess cat.
Yeah.
But other than that, they coming with fleas. So be prepared.
There was some guy who said he had breeded a genetically breeded flealess cats, and he was selling them on the TV for $100,000. No, it was a non-allergenic cat. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Have you heard of him? He had genetically breeded some non-allergenic cats with cat lovers who had allergies against. And then he wanted $100,000 or something ridiculous amount of money. I don't know what happened to it.
Okay, here's another picture that I'm going to post. This is one of my favorite cats. I call him Raccoon Face. And the reason why I call him Raccoon Face is because he had a scratch across his nose when I found him outside. And it was kind of a deep gash. And one day this lady walked past and she said, I remember that cat. He was fighting with that raccoon and got scratched in the face. So we affectionately named him Raccoon Face. And what I loved about Raccoon Face was he was an older cat. His days of ripping and running were over. He would come in, you feed him, he'd sit beside the couch with you and watch TV. And then he would leave.
They actually watch. I've seen it. It amazes me.
Yeah. So as you get older, you know, if you want a cat that's not going to have you running all over the house, you might want an older cat.
Get you an old man cat.
And for young kids, you know, they want the wild young cats that chase and run and play with them. So, you know, that does make a difference, you know, because all cats are not real high-strung and high-energetic. As they get older like us, they mellow out.
Have you ever watched a cat and see that all of a sudden they look around and they see something you can't see?
Oh, yeah. Cats have a very high You know, and that's because the instinct of the instinct to live or to not get
Yeah.
killed. You know,
Well,
they have these heightened senses.
But for some reason, I said, well, maybe it's seeing in a different dimension. Because I've actually just sitting and got behind the cat, and he'd be watching something.
Yeah, their hearing is better,
Yeah.
their sight is
But there's
better.
nothing there, and they just be
To you it
intent.
isn't.
Yeah, well, I might be crazy, but I think they be seeing in a different dimension or something.
They have a heightened alert.
Yeah.
You know, they can hear better than us because you know when I had cats and I wouldn't hear, but all of a sudden they jump up,
Yeah.
looking around, and then about maybe a minute later I hear what they hear coming closer.
I had a older friend, and he was a wasp. He was old, and he started talking about he had Siamese cats in him. And he was telling me at one time the king of Siam used these. They used to be much larger, and he would use these cats for to watch the grounds. And when somebody got out on the grounds, but they let these cats out of them. I never looked it up.
Yeah.
Out of chutes on the size of the castle or wherever they live. And these cats, these huge 30, 40-pound cats will go out and attack these people. Mm-hmm. You know, and I have seen some Siamese cats where they actually look like something should be eating sheep. You know.
Well, I think sometimes we make the mistake since they're so small, cute, and furry that they're not dangerous. Because
They're dangerous.
the little cats will whip you back.
Right.
You know, I got a scratch to this day on my arm that I got back in the 70s from trying to break up a cat fight. And these were little cats.
Really silly person.
Yeah, I was real stupid. Like, when you're young, you're stupid. And I'm like, you know, let's break this up. And they and scratch
you know how many people, women and men, and it seems like they always attach themselves right here. Yeah. They go straight up your leg. And it's impossible once they dig in.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
impossible.
They have some serious. Because you imagine if these little cats can whoop you up that bad, their cousins in the wild, the tigers.
Oh, yeah. I understand why the Egyptians sort of make gods out of their cats. You know, they're interesting animals, and just sit for a couple hours and watch them hunt is just amazing to me.
I mean, they're very interesting and very warm animals. And here's the next one. She is called Oreo. It's my daughter's cat, and I called her affectionately Shadow because wherever you went, Shadow's behind you. My daughter is preparing to go to college, so she asked me to keep her cat for so many months until she gets settled in. And I always try to keep my promise, especially to my daughter and to everybody. And I promised her that I would keep her for 6 months. But unfortunately, I only lasted 4 months because Oreo was a handful.
I met that cat.
Yeah, she's right. She was a little energetic, small cat, running all over the place, tearing up stuff. Cats got a thing for plants, and they try to eat them.
Yeah, well, I think it's something becoming off the plant that they really need.
Yeah, so I decided, I said, okay, if you want vegetables, I give you all the leafy stuff you want. So I started to give her lettuce, and she wasn't really totally eating the lettuce until I tricked her. I would take the meat, and I would crumble up the lettuce and mix it in with the fish and the tuna. So she was forced to eat the
Man, that cat was eating good.
And she was eating good. You know, she was eating a whole head of lettuce per week. I'm like, that's wonderful.
You want to feed me? I'll come down. You can put it in a little bowl.
Put a little bowl. And I was proud of her. I was like, you know, eat your veggies. And she was down there just eating it, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you get older, you started to realize stuff that you didn't notice when you were a kid. Because cats got a tendency to want to be, like you mentioned, up high.
Yeah.
Because instinctively, you know, they down there watching, up here watching their prey, and also trying to be protected from the animals that's trying to use them as prey. Mm-hmm. But I don't tolerate this. You know, I look up, and this happened a few times, and only a few times. I look up, and my cat is on my dinner table. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
oh, I can't stand it neither.
Your paws have just came out of the litter box that you just urinated in. You need to get your tail down before I spank your
heart.
And
they kill stuff with their claws.
Exactly, but they don't know any better, and that's just
they think. Yeah, they at home. That's their table too.
And like I said, there's just some things I don't tolerate. I don't tolerate animals on my dinner table. I don't tolerate animals in my bed.
And women who kiss cats in the mouth. I don't tolerate. Because
I mean, if you let them, cats will be in your bed with you,
licking your face,
and you'll be sharing their plate.
I had a lady friend. She would actually, with her cat. Well, that's disgusting.
It is, because animals have a whole different genetics makeup than us, and they can handle certain diseases that we can't, and vice versa. You know, the nature is very interesting as far as. Like in Mexico, they say don't drink the water. And the reason being is the people that live in Mexico has built up a tolerance as far as the stuff that's in the water. But we that live in the United States go over there and have a different, makeup, so to speak, or immune system.
It's the best diet thing I've ever seen. And you guaranteed after you drink that water in Mexico, not getting off the cat,
It strengthens
you
up your immune.
you will lose at least half your body weight.
When you're sick, because the passages got you sick and
Yeah.
you got diarrhea.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why they tell you don't drink the water, because if you've been living in a certain part of the world for so many years and then you go somewhere else, your system has been adapted to that system. And when you go somewhere else, you need to be careful.
You be careful.
Because you got people that live here and go on vacation and come back and be sick and then been sick for months and don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
They find out that they got parasites in their brain.
Yeah, well,
in their stomach.
when you transport animals, cats, dogs, horses, and stuff, they have to keep them in quarantine for some time,
Yeah.
And
So let's see what's else. Another picture that I can put up there. Here is a picture of, I guess, Marley and her big brother again, because I took a series of pictures of them, and it's nice to just to keep a video picture log of animals that you've had throughout your lifetime, and you reflect back on them with a sense of melancholy and
animals, cats, and all the animals. If you keep them long enough, they actually become part of your life. They
do.
They respond to you.
Yeah. And we were sad when we had to, because when we had to get rid of Oreo because, like I told my daughter, Oreo's just causing too much damage here. She's scratching up the wall, and I got to get the walls painted. She knocked over an expensive vase, and it burst. The fleas, so, we placed the ad in the paper, and the lady came back with her son and picked her up. And we were very sad that, Oreo had to leave, because out of all the cats, Oreo was the sweetest one. She's very warm, very gentle. Now, again, Mrs. Buttons was a whole other story. One habit don't bother me until it's feeding time. You remember the term taking them for a ride?
Yeah, that's what they...
And let me explain to our viewers, the young people, what that means is, you have an animal in the house, and then you get to the point that your mother or father can't either afford to keep the animal, or the animals create mayhem, so the animal got to go. So they tell you, we're about to go take them for a ride. And they would take the animal at nighttime, put them in the car, and drive maybe a mile away and throw them out. And it's like, you fending for yourself now.
That's when gasoline was 27 cents a gallon.
But on that note, we're gonna sign off. We just thought that we would have a fun moment, discuss, something kind of nice and, non-controversial, debatable. So until next time, I'm Morris Mann, and my co-host is
Joseph Spencer. And when he bought this cats thing to me, I thought he was talking about the Broadway play.
Haven't seen that yet. But on that note, as always, keep thinking.
Yeah. Have a good day. Everybody be